in the previous semester you were enrolled with me in semantics. It's about the meaning, and I've been telling you before that under semantics we have there is an area that we call semiotics, and as linguist I actually ask you to look for areas or for certain subfields in linguistics that you can focus into. So, personally for me, they fall under semantics and semiotics, and I hope that if there are some of you who are hoping to practice your field further and in better terms for in your coming future, then this can be one of the things that you can focus on, especially because medcom is or computer mediated communication is simply a way for you to understand data or understand language that are already posted on the internet. And of course, it's very important that you also look into emoji, because aside from they're already part of our popular culture, they become a very natural way for people to express their feelings, their thoughts, and their ideas. So before we get started today, I can see that there are six of you who are joining me. So we're going to be playing something called Guess the Song by Emoji. And I'm going to play a little bit of it. And you're going to tell me, or you're going to type in the comment section what you think the title is all about. So I hope that you can type in, or you can key in your answers. Those are some examples on how we are using emoji when we are expressing ourselves, and also how emoji can really encapsulate what words can do. What's interesting also about why I chose this kind of activity to jumpstart our discussion this morning is because when you talk about emoji, sometimes, especially when they are used in a certain context like this, remember that the subject is still medcom. It's not like a subject about trying to simply know about the emoji, but also trying to know how to apply it or how to understand it. So the idea about these emoji, that's why I think it's interesting, is because when we answer this, we try to look back and try to circle around what are the other songs that we know, what are some songs that we may have heard of, which we can use for the understanding or for the identification of these songs. For example, a while ago when you saw the candy on a stick, the lollipop, I was thinking, actually, is there a song recently that came out where the title is lollipop or anything? So I was guessing siguro Sugar by Maroon 5, and then yun, soccer pala. So it also helps that we understand context, and we understand how what are the certain origins, or what are the certain areas where people can get these meaning from. Okay, so in your modules right now, we are actually down to the last three parts of the module, and the last three parts are the more interesting one. Well, of course, the whole module I think is interesting, but the last three are more interesting in terms of application when you will be doing your own researches in the near future. So one of the challenges that we have right now as Gen Zs, that's you, and us millennials, are how are we going to make sense out of the things around us, the communication processes, the way that we establish our meanings, the way that we look for ways to clothe, or to what's this to encapsulate ideas that we have. And one of the key things, of course, is the emoji, the rise of the visual language in the age of the internet. So before we get there, just a reminder of what are the things that you're supposed to know at the end of the course. Focus on emoji as signs or symbols connected to each other in specific semiotic or meaning making and formal ways without utilizing the technical lexicon and often intricate notions of theoretical semiotics. So we don't really have to do verbal researches or verbal or written analysis. It's more on the focus of the visual language that is embodied in the emoji. So the question is, why is the discourse on emoji? This is wrong grammar. On emoji, a significant one for everybody. That's a typo. So emoji are singular and plural. That's the same word. Okay, so last time I asked you to read this part, but before we get there, just a brief recap on the rise of the emoji. Um, what does this mean? This is one of the things that raised the debate before. What do you think? What does the emoji mean? So of course, everybody in this class, yeah, right. We've been saying that this is a prayer or a pray, and then there are some who are saying that it's actually a clap or a high five, parang ganon. So it shows that these emoji can actually also have some, what is the you remember when you were in semantics, the idea of language and ambiguity. So it can have more meanings than one, and sometimes it can also raise this issue or question about how does this meaning how does this meaning get built on a certain culture or on a certain community. But regardless, there's another one. What do you think this means? It's a sigh. What do you think? It's sick or sleepy. Yan. How about the third one? The one with the nails. I have a friend who loves using this. Mean girls. There are getting my nails done. Parang, yeah, actually, your answers are similar. It's like tea, or it's like, when there is this meaning that of course still related to semantics or semiotics, is when we create meanings out of it. Of course, when you think about nail polish, especially when it's nail polish, especially when the nails are long, or the fingers are and the nails are that glamorous, it gives you this idea of being chic or being fabulous. And when you're using pink, it gives more details, like this is someone, you are fierce. It's not just fabulous, but you are already fierce. You are not glamorous, but you're already sort of controversial, or you're already someone who broke the rules, something like that. So it's more like getting relaxed, or it can be used in different contexts, like being relaxed, just listening to all the bad things that people are telling you. It's like being laid back regardless of all of the BS that are being said. So it gives you this idea, or it gives you this meaning. It gives you this context where you need to understand also how it's being used in a certain dialogue. So the typesetter for an 1862 speech made by Abraham Lincoln, of all people, of course, and I think just right so, might have been distracted, but it resulted a sideways winky face appearing in the notes for his speech. And very interestingly, the words that came before that wink was applause and quote and unquote applause and laughter. So when they saw this, they were saying that they are not sure if it must have been a distraction, or it must be something that, a slip of the fingers, which actually embodies, or technically it's what you really wanted to say. And the father of emojis was Kurita Shigetaka, who created the first 176 emoji in 1999 for a Japanese mobile phone operator. I know that there are times when you will be seeing a lot of the words emojis with an S here in some parts of the module or in my presentations. Please know that the presentations I'm using today are borrowed. That's wrong. That's actually wrong. So you're supposed to be calling that emoji plural or singular. So it started way back in 1999 for a Japanese mobile phone operator, and they wanted to provide users with a way to communicate their images. So eto yung mga, as you can see, they were pixelated. So the first designs were done using graphing paper or using ideas of pixels, and expanded later on, more than a decade later, when Apple was looking to expand its market in Japan. People had been using these characters to provide context to their communication. So Apple added hidden figure feature in the iOS 5 update. So there are times, of course, until na ngayon naman, we have this kind of feature, and it doesn't matter if you are using an iOS or an Android, where you can you can actually, what's the word, you can actually like hide or look for the set of emoji, and they're also being categorized right now, so we can talk about these later on. Suddenly yellow faces and poop icons became a part of our lexicon, so we start to understand also already, or we created culturally set meaning. And this is part of your midterms. Remember when we were talking about creating meanings or production of meanings, that when you see things that are, for example, like this, it doesn't already just mean manicure, but there's a deeper meaning into it that we can talk about or that we can look into. So we can say, for example, that, hey, this means this and that. This means that the finger and the what's this, the nail polish means something fierce, halimbawa. So those are the things that became an acceptable meaning in our lexicon or in our culture as well. One emoji to rule them all. So before an emoji can become an emoji, it must be approved by what we call the Unicode Consortium. I hope you are also taking notes, especially for your quiz on either on Friday or next week. So the approval usually takes 1 to 2 years. So anybody can do that, and there is a portion online where you can actually propose your emoji. I think the very last update that Apple had for the iOS was featured new emoji, and there are already new faces that they included. Of course, when you talk about emoji kasi, it's very important to consider the source also. So of course, the first ones who the one who introduced emoji was are from the Japanese, but it moved later on to the iOS or Apple. So what happened is when Apple will be using this emoji, it will be later on replicated, or it will be carried on by other providers, especially the Android. So there are new things that came out. For example, parts of the body. Before, meron lang yung utak. There's the brain, there's the tooth. And in the latest update, they have a human heart. They also added more faces. So instead of just the blonde and the brunette, they also added a redhead right now. There are many, I think there are around 30 something, if I'm not mistaken, 30 something emoji that were added. And very cool also, because for example, one of the things that I noticed when they did an update was that um because I use iOS, and then I was looking at it, and wow, ang marami ng bago. And of course, they also have to make a stand about these things, because emoji can be political. So one of the interesting things that I saw was they added a guy in a veil. So it's for gay marriage, and I think that is cool. I think that is very political, very meaningful, very significant, and very relevant, especially this 2020 and for this coming 2020's decade. So, ayun. You're going to submit a proposal. You will provide your justification for its creation by proving a need, and argue that the icon is already popular online and frequently searched. Show that the currently existing family of emoji is missing this pivotal group member, and prove that there is no other way to express this idea with an existing emoji combination. Tingnan ko nga. Ano ba yun? How do I... Eh, anyway. I can't look for the emoji bar, but ayan. Uh, okay. So before we continue with the discussion, I will also show some key parts or key points on where we are using this. Six facts. These are not in the readings. That's why I am presenting them to you right now. Six facts about emoji found using new analysis. So as you can see, the the typographical error or the grammatical error is always appearing even in good websites like Brandwatch. So emoji can be used by anyone. That makes them incredibly useful tools for analysis. Here are six things emoji can tell us about people with data to back them up. So this is the use of emoji in business. So some of you, of course, will naturally be working in linguistics. You will be in corporate, or you will be in government, or you will be in law, or whatever. You can actually also use emoji as a way to make your case, or as a way for you to express, or for you to for you to prove or show something. So one of the what are the things that you can find in here based on marketing or business level? There are six facts about this emoji. The 150 most used emoji on Twitter. So there are meron sila. There is a for the third year running, the face with tears of joy emoji reigns supreme on social media. So yung parang the iyak face. Let's try to go to Twitter and see kung ano ang trending. Uy, this one looks nice. Nasaan ang salin ng pangulo? Sorry, I can't help it. This is fun. Okay, so we'll talk about that later on. But let's try to see. Okay, so there are some emoji on Twitter. You can see, diba? So these are actually things that you can study later on based on your readings and based on our lecture today. You can actually create a research on this. So these are some of the fun things that you can actually use for example, you're enrolled in research, but I know you already have topics, but I'm just saying maybe in your MA or future studies or in your future projects you might consider this, right? Like the what are the how are they how do they use emoji to be part of their username, for example, or how they select it, and what are ayan ayun what do these mean, or what does it say about the person who owns the profile. So those are things that you can look into. Second one is that 75% of the emojis published on Twitter are positive. So of course, Twitter is more international in terms of backgrounding, or in terms of understanding and creating this idea about what is a better, or what is a more encompassing what's the more encompassing application or social media thing. Twitter, I think, is one of the more essential ones. It's not Facebook, and also Facebook is very difficult to use. But Twitter, I think, is easier, and it's also more it's actually fun, and it's actually more encompassing of the data that you wanted. So despite the positivity over the last 2 years, the use of negative emoji has grown from 23.2 to 25.4%, an increase of 9.5%. So you can also see we're way more negative in the evening. Paggabi, people tend to be like that. So it's up to us, or it's up to, sociologists, psychologists, linguists, etc., to understand what are the factors that may that may have caused this kind of decline, or this kind of change of behavior. Okay, men use this look emoji, and women use this another look, or the emoji. Perhaps surprisingly, there are some stark differences in how men and women use the emoji. So, for example, here men are more likely to use these ones, the one with shades, cool thinking. I had no idea. And this is like a smirk. This is not actually a bad face. It's more of like a parang papogi yan, parang ganyan. It's more like the red heart, the sleepy one, and then the upside smiley, and the purple heart. So Utah is the happiest place in the States according to Emoji, which can also mean that you can study emoji and create a what's this a research that is more focused on your context. Interestingly, you can also try to understand how certain universities, for example, focus on a certain emoji, or how emoji are being used by certain groups or by certain fields. Consumers use the most positive emoji when talking about Pantene. So you see, it can also be part of understanding branding and products. Ayun. So those are some six facts about it. So it shows us right now, or it shows us today, what are the key things, or what are the important parts, or what are the way that we're supposed to understand emoji, and just how relevant and significant they can be in terms of application. So before we get there, where you go provision pending, but this is emoji semantics, culture and society. We're going to borrow their slides. So covered on the chapter that I asked you to read last week will be the formal languages and emoji semantics, emoji meaning assignment and derivation, social and cultural emoji meanings, and Unicodes that change emoji meaning. So, backgrounding muna tayo. Formal languages, social media language, and emoji. So, when you talk about formal language, remember that was the first part of the eto, no? So, what what Smilovic did was in their study is to the first thing that they did was compartmentalize. And I think I also mentioned this to you when you were enrolled in semantics, that when you look for words or that when you are looking for a certain set of data, it is very, very important that you categorize them first or you know how to place them. So halimbawa, your data set gave you, for example, you're doing a research on the languages of memes or the language of memes or the language. Okay, let's start with that. So if you're doing a language of memes, for example, you try to find a way first to delimit or try to find the way first on how to get data on a certain area only. It's very overwhelming. I'm telling you. I know language is very overwhelming. The data that we have can be overwhelming. You're doing your researches now for your thesis. Your data can really be overwhelming, especially if you are doing a qualitative research and people just kept giving a lot of ideas and answers, which is good. I'm telling you, that's a good thing. And sometimes when you're doing a document analysis, or if your data are songs, for example, or uh, or memes or things that are online, it can be limitless. There's no telling just how many are there and just how many you can use. And the bad part is that you do not know if you are using everything that you need, right? And that's more difficult. For example, ang topic mo nga ay meme, but you think that you're already comfortable with the meme that you got, but there is actually a better data set out there, or there's a better place for you to get or call out this data sana on the first place. So it's really difficult. You don't really know how to. It's very, you have to understand or you have to know. That's part of your job. You are not allowed to say, I'm sorry, I didn't know I can do it this way. No, that's part of your job as a linguist or as a researcher. And so what they did was for the emoji, they study the rank 751. So it's not just 751 emoji, but they are also ranked. So we actually have an idea kung sino yung nauuna at sino yung nasa huli. And they were scaled on the three main points, which is positive, negative, and neutral. So the scale was designed to identify the neutrality level of any emoji. So in their conclusion, they found out that the researchers found that the main intent of the emoji was to add positive nuances. This is a very nice word to the context of text, to the content of text, no matter what your intent or purpose. So when you say nuance, di ba, I explained this to you before, nuance is about adding something more in-depth to create more life, to create more variety, depth, meaning into something. Kaya nga pag sinasabing parang walang nuance yung speech ni President Duterte, masakit na bagay yon because you are giving a speech and people are just taking your speech at face value or on a literal level, but the nuances are out of it. The context, the beauty of the ideas are out of it. So adding nuances of specific kinds is the basic. Take note. It might come out later on in your essay quest, in your essay exams or essay quizzes. Adding nuances of specific kinds is the basic semantic objective of emoji usage. So pag nag-emoji tayo, I hope that I am thinking that everybody here is using the emoji. Is there somebody here who don't? The idea is you're actually trying to add nuance to your language, whatever you want to say. So the term semantics is used here to refer to the meaning of any sign or sign form and the structural aspects connected to it. Halimbawa, where is this located? So when you are typing, where do you place your emoji? Is it at the start or at the end of your text? Is it in the middle? Or does it replace a text? Which can also be more interesting. Not all codes possess semantic structure. So going back to the slides, it consists of words whose letters are taken from an alphabet and are well formed according to specific set of rules. Or going back to your morphology. So for example, Mary walked the dog. The alphabets that are used there are parts of the formal language, right? That's why you're enrolled in linguistics. So Mary, etc. Or they can also be looked into in terms of words. So this can be your syntax. So Mary walked the dog. And of course, there are rules based on syntax and also based on phonology or morphophonology, subject, verb, object, article and noun, etc., etc. So when you are, it's part of a formal language because the way that the words are presented or that the words are put together still represent or are still gathered using a formal structure. Meron pa rin po tayong fina-follow na formal na struktura kung paano nalalagay yung mga mensahe natin. Halimbawa, sa Filipino rin, pwede ring mangyari na nauuna yung sa English ay verb, 'di ba? Bago lumabas yung subject. So, it's about trying to understand that emoji are still part of the formal language. And there's also what we call language used in social media. So these are still, if you look at the differences, words, letters, however, taken from an alphabet and are well formed to a specific set of rules. This time, however, they are well formed and sometimes they are ill-formed and they do not always follow the strict grammar rules. So your rules of syntax or your rules of semantics do not really apply to the study of social media language. Okay, so that's very important. You are not going to say, "Oh, I remember I am a linguistics major, so I am trained in syntax. So let's try to see how it came out in social media." Well, of course, we're going to have conclusions if you're going to do that, but because social media is a different socmed socmed medcom because medcom is a different area or a different subject. It's not touched or it is not these ideas do not really apply to it. Okay, for example, yes, hashtag queen, hashtag Oscar 19. Di ba? So siguro may nanalo nung Oscar 2019, siguro nanalo si, I don't know, sino bang nanalo last year na best actress or ano, tapos ngayon sabi niya, yes, hashtag that, hashtag this. So, of course, the alphabets are also used, and this time, there's already another code or another symbol that's used. The words are still the same. You can find the word yes, the word queen. Always include the hashtag because it's just one area. Wala siyang space, so considered one word yan. Considered na one word din ito. And of course, are there rules? None, because they don't follow strict grammar rules. And there is what we already have, emoji versus formal language. Both consist of alphabet. So emoji alphabet would be all emoji pictographs. And both consist of letters. So each individual emoji would be a letter. For example, eto, and they can also be consisting of words. So emoji sequences, one or more would be words. So like the one that you did a while ago when you were playing the guess the song using the emoji activity. Ano yon? That's an example of this creation of words based on that. So emoji use has no well-defined grammar rules. Okay, so when you are doing your researches now or later on when someone will ask you or consult with you, you know that now you know that emoji do not have a well-defined rule for grammar because emoji is not a formal language. So how are we going to because you are an English major, an English language major or linguistics major, so saan na po siya ilalagay? Saan na bakit pa po natin pinag-uusapan ito? So emoji is actually a language element. So they show characteristics of pictographic functions, direct representations of objects. So the word cat, for example, is already encapsulated or embodied in this picture of, well, a cat or pizza, which can also have other meanings. Like if you want to say, let's eat, and the word that came to your head or the pictograph or the emoji that came to your head is a pizza, even if you're eating something else, then that's still going to work. So show characteristics of logographic functions. So when you talk about logographic functions, eto yung word replacement na sinasabi ko kanina. Emoji used in language can be viewed as an amalgamation of pictographic, logographic writing with alphabetic writing. This is by Marcel Danesi, who is or Danasi, who is a well-known linguist and philosopher. When you are talking about emoji use and you're talking about pictographic, logographic, it means that you are actually merging certain functions of something into one. So for example, 'di ba, for example, you can use this pen as I'm just making an example. You can use this pen as a spoon and as a pen and as a I don't know, as a back rubber. Man, that's ew. But uh it it's an amalgamation. There are many things about it, right? So you merge everything onto one, and that's the idea that the Nessie was saying about emoji. Going back to your let's look for a more specific term in the reading that I think is very important also. Where did I see that? Ayan. The main difference between emoji and a full-fledged pictographic system of writing is, although there is a rise in their substitutive uses, as we shall see in the subsequent chapters, emoji are also different from pictographies in that they are constructed beforehand and thus chosen from a preset repertory such as that found on a keyboard. So yun naman ang difference niya sa pictographic. Kasi when you talk about pictographic, you already have the word and you try to find a way to embody that, right? So for example, you are angry, so what are ways that I can release this anger through a pictograph, and you draw it. But in emoji studies or emoji semiotics, is already preset. Nandyan na. So, pipili ka lang ng mag-encapsulate. So, if it's not there, it's also frustrating because, for example, when you are angry, you put an angry face, for example, and then you can select siguro the fire or something which can also have a positive meaning. And it's very difficult for you to embody your anger or your rage because you don't have a preset of emoji to help you with it, help you express it. However, for example, in iOS, there was an update, I think like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, where they did an update and they included the middle finger. So even if it's an obscene or a very vulgar kind of language, it's already added there so that if there is a time that someone needs it, then the person can use it. So yun yung isa rin na difference niya doon sa difference ng pictographic doon sa pinag-uusapan nating emoji. So emoji used in social media, there's a you can study this data. For example, this is an actual social media content. This is high, right? Can try to look at it now and try to see if you can understand it or if you can make sense out of it like a sentence or ano man. Are you trying? No need to answer me here, but I want you to try. Hi, I just met you and this is it's actually a song similar to the one that I presented to you kanina. So it's actually by Carly Rae Jepsen. So hi, I just met you and this is crazy, but here's my number, so call me maybe. It's hard to look back at you, baby, but here's my number. Do call me maybe. Hey, but the funny thing is that the I here is not really an I, but going back to phonetics, yeah, call me maybe. Someone got it pala. Um the I is ano siya, what's this? It's the sound, 'di ba? So just met you and this is crazy, but here's my number, so call me maybe. So just the chorus and all the other boys try to chase me, but here's my number, so call me maybe. So sometimes the context really helps in understanding it. Okay, so background, semantics. Ayan. So linguists versus philosophers. Very interesting. So remember your syntax, our favorite, our um I'm glad that no one in your, this is a personal reaction only. I'm glad that no one in your class is making a big deal about syntax being a math subject or morpho being a math subject. There are some OA major English majors who are posting that on Facebook. Like, what's embarrassing is that they are comparing, for example, syntax to trigonometry, for example, magkaiba, or chemistry. Meron lang kasi tayong lines, or we are using diagrams kasi, but nakakahiya naman yun. I think syntax is very difficult, especially in terms of analysis, but it doesn't mean that it's like a mathematical view of something already. So wag masyadong OA sa wag masya cut back a little bit, no, it's a little over, it's an over response to your course, or to what you are really doing. So something that's related to this. So for linguists, there is, remember, you remember your lemma in syntax, or the word, or in morphology, your root. So for example, there's the word cat, and then the cat has a signifier, right? So remember your phonology. There's a sound pattern and there's a symbol about it. So when you say the word cat, people of the language will have a certain idea about it. So, okay, pusa, sabi niya. But for and for philosophers, yun yung focus nila, yung signifier. That's why language and the philosophy usually go together, right? Noam Chomsky, Saussure. And then, if you look at it on a semiotic level already, there is this concept, you mix together the word or the lemma, the sound pattern or the symbol, so it becomes a concept of a cat. So when you say cat, a person who already idealized, someone with four legs, a tail, a fur or hair, uh 2 years, or kung ano man, kung ano yung memory mo ng pusa na alam mo, round face, kung yung pusa mo ay madumi, you think of a dirty cat. If you are used to having a, if you hate cats, or if you have bad memories of cats, then that's the cat that goes into your head, or your concept of your cat. So it may look like this, but of course each of us have different ideas or concepts of cats. So there is a meaning, and there's a signified concept about it. So when you talk about lexical semantics, it examines the relationship between the meaning of the lexical units and the meaning of a sentence as a whole. So lexical versus sentence meaning. Okay, anong ibig sabihin niya nung eto lang yung word, and what does it mean when it's already used in a sentence? Remember the rule in semantics, a word is ambiguous unless it is used in a context, or unless it is used in a sentence. So pag hindi pa siya nagamit sa konteksto or sa sentence, wala pa talagang ibig sabihin yung word na yon, 'di ba? Pwedeng magkaroon ng iba't ibang meaning yung word na yon. For example, orange. So in semantics, remember, the orange can mean the color, the orange can mean the fruit, the orange can mean this and that. Like, is there a product that's, kung may apple, meron bang orange or something? So maybe there's a product that's named orange or something, then that can be a lexical meaning. Whereas if you use it in a sentence like, she ate the orange, or she's wearing an orange dress, then the meaning becomes more defined. So it leads to find words that can substitute each other, also known as your paradigmatic or paradigmatic relations. So here are some paradigmatic relations. Synonymy, remember your semantics with me, your finals, your synonymy, antonymy, homonymy, hyponymy, and your polysemy. So when you say synonymy, of course, smiling and grinning are the same. Antonymy, of course, will be the contrast, like happy versus not end. Happy versus sad. Homonymy used a while ago, like call me maybe, the I and the letter I, for example. Hyponymy is the inclusion of meaning. So cat is it's a symbol or a specific representation of the general one. So pag hyponymy, cat is a hyponym of animal. And the animal, the general to specific, is what we call the hypernym, right? You go back to your semantics. And polysemy is your shoot, which is you're going to kill, versus shoot, or you're going to use the video. So also related to ambiguity. So these are some paradigmatic relations which can actually show that these meanings can also be, are not really set in stone. Okay, the rules or the way that we use we use some emoji is not really set in stone. So I'll answer one question. How about the prayer emoji, or this other ambiguous emoji, yes, they may be used in certain contexts, but there are really times when they can have different meanings talaga. For example, the poop, which is a favorite poop emoji. Sometimes the poop emoji is used to say something that is disgusting, right? Like for example, you post a selfie and then your friend commented with a poop, it means ew, or they are jokingly telling you or teasing you that you are not really pretty, something like that. But if they put that on a Duterte page, for example, it may mean something like you're stupid, you're a dumb president, parang ganon. Or if you put that, for example, if you put the poop emoji in oo, parang ganyan, it can mean SHIT, for example. So there are different meanings about it. So how emoji get their meanings in emoji semantics? So what is in an emoji? Unicode code point, emoji name, emoji short code, emoji definition, set of meanings, set of pictorial representations, which is already your image, set of related emoji, what category or how can it be categorized, and the set of emojis. Wait, sige. So I'll open iMessage and I'm going to show you the categorization. I'll post it in your messenger later. So right now they are divided into smileys and people, animals and nature, for example. So may preset naman na siya na rules on how you can actually put them together. So you have to look for things that are also similar. Kaya nga importante rin yung synonymy nung emojis na propose ninyo. Ayan. So I posted some already in your messenger. So set of related emoji and set of categories where you can categorize this emoji. So the ones that I sent you are categorized under smiley and people, nature and animals, and food and drink. Parang ganon. Okay. Emoji semantics. So we don't have enough time, but don't worry, we'll have the second part of your uh of your synchronous on Wednesday. So please prepare for that. What is the smallest meaningful unit of an emoji alphabet? How emoji meanings are assigned, and emoji are inherently designed with no rigid semantics. We can end in this part, slide 16. And please prepare on Wednesday para mabilis because we don't have enough. I mean, we actually have enough time. We're on track naman. So on Wednesday, I will still meet you for another synchronous. We're going to finish discussing semantics of emoji. After that you're going to be doing your activities on Friday until I'll give you time for on Friday until next week also. So those are that's going to be your schedule for the week. Any questions? Wala pa. So just a reminder, of course, that your final project is still the same as discussed in the first grading. I did not put it here, but in the last part, but it's on the first part. So the first part kindly be guided with your final project. It's you're going to write a research paper. The purpose of this assignment is for you to position yourself within CMC. So start thinking, but I will ask for your proposals on Friday. So I'm going to talk to you on Friday about this one by one. So I want you to think of your research paper and you're going to start building your proposal for this term paper. What's the purpose is for you to position yourself within CMC. So it can be anything. So this is already an open project. You can think of anything. It can be an original research paper. It's a review of related lit. It can be an introspective analysis of your own internet use. And you must incorporate at least three concepts that you learned in class and use at least five outside academic sources, including books and peer-reviewed journals. So we are actually 1 month away from the end of the classes, which is December 23rd. um I'm going to check on how we can spread the deadline and the working time for this. But as I have said, that's why we only have three short modules left for the finals, because bulk of it will be used for you in doing your own paper, and of course for your consultations with me. So tapusin lang natin yung we're going to finish semantics of emojis until Wednesday. I'll give you an activity or quiz on Friday. You're going to have also the homework starting today, which is just for you to think about paper are you going to write? So it can be any also of the ones that we did before. You can also you can also like what thing that you want, what are the things you can study. So you can study memes, you can study emoji, you can study ang dami na nating options na napag-usapan in the past few months. So maybe you want to talk, you maybe you can also do a, although we did not do that, you can do what is this, an analysis of what's this, of an influencer, etc. Mga ganun lang. Although the 8 to 10 page research paper that's written in here is just governed by the fact that you're going to be including your resources and of course your screenshots. But this is going to be 1,000 word. This is going to be 1,000 word essay. Something also that's similar to your first grading. So you had a practice round with your first grading. Any questions? If there are no questions, kindly continue reading or kindly go back to the key parts of the reading for this week, and I'll talk to you guys on Wednesday. We'll finish the topic on Wednesday. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.